Hello everyone and welcome to Multimediale Werkzeuge seminars, this time with some support material for Seminar 1, and we'll talk about web page basics, combination of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So a lot of web pages, they use this combination, HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So for example, we can use the HTML to define elements of a page, so a paragraph, a button, some image. We can use CSS to define the style of how things look in our web page, and we can use some JavaScript to give some interactivity. So first thing we notice here, we are in a Jupyter notebook, actually in Colab, so we are using a version of Jupyter Notebook in the cloud, and we see that we can use this magic command here. So 2 times the percentage symbol in HTML, and this means that this cell, everything what is inside the cell, will be considered to be HTML, and we will display some HTML in the output of this cell. So notice that we have these HTML tags, and we always need to close the HTML. It's very important. If you don't close, so for example here everything is working fine, but suppose I made a mistake here and I'm not closing the heading 1, but I made a mistake. So now it's displaying the button element. Click to the state time. What's the time? I don't know, but now, well, it is still give me the result, but actually it's wrong, this code. If I completely leave it out, then things are not working properly as desired. So we have here a heading 1, we have a paragraph with some text, then we have a button, it's reading what's the time inside this button, then we have another paragraph, and this paragraph has an ID, it's called demo, and we have some text, and it's inside the body of our HTML code. So click to the state of time, I click, nothing happens. So we just have here some elements, some HTML elements, no interactivity, and they look quite dull. So in the next step, we are going to add some CSS code, make things to look a bit nicer. So now it's the same code, but inside the head, so I introduced here this head tag and the style, and here we have style for button, we define a border, color, padding, font size, and etc. Then we also have for button 1, and we have this button hover function with some background color and some color. So this is all inside the style and inside the head. So now we see that our simple button element from here is the same what we're doing, button what's the time, and we have here the button what's the time, but we have this class, and now this class is button, which is defined here, and button 1, which is defined here, and button 1 has some hovering functionality, and now we see it's different. We see this green border, we didn't see it here, so the hovering here is the default, but now we have some green hover here, but still there is no interactivity. I'm clicking and nothing happens. So we had our simple HTML elements, and now we have styled it using CSS. Next step is that when we click here, it executes some function, and then it should display the time here. So we have the same code here, but now we are adding to our button this on click, and when we click on this button it will execute this my function, and now we have this script here. Inside the script we have a function called my function, And this my function is getting an element by ID from a document, and the ID is demo, and as we know, demo is the ID of this paragraph, which is with no time here now. So this is the paragraph, it has an ID, so we can interact with this using this ID. Then I'm getting this element by ID, and then I'm using this inner HTML and I'm setting it equals to date, and this is inside a script. So now I expect that when I click this button, and here nothing happens, but now with this functionality it will execute this function, my function. This function will change the inner HTML of this element here that we're getting by the ID, and the ID is here, and we're making it equals to the date. So I expect that when I click here, now it will change this no time here for the date and the time. And so let me execute this from the beginning. So we have our button with hovering, but now when I click here, it displays that it's Wednesday, April the 20th, 7:38 in the Central European summertime. So with this, just a simple example, we started with just pure HTML elements, no styling, no functionality. Then we give our elements some style, and then we have hovering, we have colors, we have sizes, we have fonts, and then still nothing happens, but we give another step here that we add some functionality, that when we click this button, it executes some JavaScript, which is inside the script here, and we have some nice functionality here. So this is just a simple example. Have in mind that I'm putting everything inside this HTML code, but we can have a CSS external file, then inside of putting style and everything here, we create a file and we put some definitions inside this file, and then we just import this file from the HTML, and we also can have scripts as a separate file with our JavaScripts, and then we just load them, we import them into our HTML file, and they would execute the same way. So have in mind that now you are able to design some web pages. This is just an introduction, so you can explore and go further and learn more about CSS, learn more about HTML, learn more about JavaScript. So just as a tip, most of browsers you can go, I'm using here, it's Chrome, you can go to more tools, developer tools. Now we have here a console, and you can execute some commands here. So for example, if I have this date here, this is a command and it executes in the console, and here you can check a lot of elements. So we have this body class, we have the head, we have the console, we have sources, we have the status of network, we have, for example, if there will be some images, it would be some media, and you can also, if you right click on an element, you can inspect. So here we have this image here. So I hope this was a useful tutorial. It's just a starting point, so you can start developing some web pages by yourself with some interactivity, with some styling, and just have fun with it. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you next time.